and we are live. Greetings and salutations, Focused Up family. Welcome to the December 30, 2023 installment of the Focused Up Show. We thank you for tuning in with us live every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on YouTube and various other platforms, or catching up with us on replay. We ask that you click that like, that subscribe, that bell, and share to support and maintain your weekly Focused Up fix. I am Mr. Nice Guy, nice as in the word saint spelled backwards. And my co-hosts today are Brother Walk, host of Sex Talk with Walk on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on YouTube and various other platforms. We got Brother Charles X back, black by popular demand. So thank you for coming back. And Mr. Floyd X, the boss. What's going on with you fellas?
What up? Hey, it's 2023, the last show of the year. We're about to go into the new year, 2024. I hope everyone here makes it. I hope everyone that's watching makes it into 24 so we can get a good year going, and much success to everybody. Everybody get out there and grind, and whatever your resolution is to improve yourself on, I hope you jump on it and do it and get out there and make 2024 a great year.
That's what's up. What's going on with you, Walk?
Man, I'm chilling, man. Just getting off work, and I'm ready to rock and roll. Just ate, fat and ugly always, as usual. No, I'm ready to go.
And Brother Charles X, what's going on with you?
Yes, sir. Enjoying the fact that we're coming into a new year and excited about being on the show today. So I appreciate you, brothers.
All right.
We got our Brother Charles X on the show. Welcome to the show again, Brother Charles X. We know you come with the facts. Want to bring your energy and be able to represent. I know you stand 10 toes down like a true soldier. We looking forward to your commentary today, Brother Charles X. Let's get this show cracking.
And also,
yes,
let's
sir.
just send a shout out to El Poo and First Lady J. El Poo's not going to be able to make the show today. Maybe First Lady will make an appearance, but they're always here in spirit. So El Poo will be back for Spin That Back at 10:30 a.m. So tune in YouTube. The topic's going to be what is hip hop. But let's get on with the get.
Why ain't make the show? What he was?
Yeah, he's dealing with some things.
He got some things. He said he got some things to deal with. He gonna be later.
Hungover. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, y'all didn't do a Friday Night Live, right?
Nah.
Thank goodness. Well, actually, it's still the basic same thing played out. But let's get on with the
Pooh.
Say what?
Salute to the infamous El Poo and Lady J.
That's what's up. All right, so let's get to the get. First in the news, what we got?
Oh man, let me pull this up real quick, brother. Let's start off with the Danny Masterson. Where's my screen? All right. Let's start off with Danny Masterson, the Caucasian actor who was charged with rape. I'm looking for this article. Okay, Danny Masterson in the news. We got Danny Masterson was sentenced in September. Masterson was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison for raping two women in a Hollywood Hills home in 2003. Prior to his transfer to North Kern State Prison, he had been held in Los Angeles County Jail, according to prison records. He is eligible for parole in June 2024, when he will be 66 years old. Less than 2 weeks after the actor's sentencing, his wife, Bijou Phillips, filed for divorce after more than 11 years of marriage. In her filing, the actress requested legal and physical custody of her daughter, Fiona Fraston Masterson, The actor later signed over full legal and physical custody to the child. So the brother was sentenced, or the Caucasian was sentenced to 30 plus years in prison.
I
For
think
two,
you
for
got that
two.
wrong a little bit. You said he'll be eligible parole for next year.
2024. I know you said 2024.
You said
I
he'll
assumed that was a
20.
stumble.
That's my dyslexia kicking in. It was 2042.
Oh, okay.
There you go. All right.
Exactly.
He'll be 66 years old.
So
Good
you got
job.
some-
Good job. He was raping. You said graping. I don't know why you said graping.
because
Groping.
we don't want the thing to get flagged. YouTube gets crazy when you say so. We apologize for using a dumb word like grape, but we have to do that because that's the YouTube AI is
Well,
not
look,
very
he
smart.
was found guilty, and it was a good sentence. He's been a menace to society for years, and they finally got him. Good job.
So yeah, if I could push back on that point that the brother just made is that like we just discussed just last week, dealing with our brother Jonathan Majors, and we've seen many and plenty of other cases where men have been charged with various crimes, with literally no proof. I think there's some important facts to bring about this case. Is first and foremost is this was actually the second trial. The first one was a mistrial, and then the judge ordered this to be done again. And on the second time around, he was convicted, but unlike the first time, what they did was they said that he drugged the women, which was not even brought up and even mentioned in the first trial, but they added that extra on there. So I just saw a lot of inconsistencies, as I had many other cases, on how this man who was being accused from 15 years prior, the events were supposed to be taking place back in 2003, 2004, around that time. And it just was a lot of inconsistencies. And also, which was very interesting during this case, is it seemed more of the Church of Scientology being on the witness stand, or being charged with this crime just as much as the gentleman was. So regardless of race, class, or creed, I'm seeing, and I know I'm not the only one, is men being attacked, by women for alleged crimes that are taking place many years ago with literally no facts. Bill Cosby, that's another person that comes to mind who 30 years prior was accused of an attack, and then when it came to the trial, the only thing we had to stand on was what the word of the woman or woman said. And also, another really important point about this case is that the first woman who charged them was an ex-girlfriend, a longtime girlfriend who was disgruntled. It appears that that Danny had moved on and married another woman, and she was cut out of having any more contact with him. So there's definitely some motivation that was present. And I was just shocked when I saw.
Let me respectfully push back on that and say this. First of all, you can rape a girlfriend. You can rape a current girlfriend. I mean, you can rape a current wife. The fact of the matter is, someone's not trying to have sex with you and you be forcibly and you take. This is something you can't do. And as far as and when you talk about what they did in the first trial versus what they do in the second trial, a lot of times stuff gets defeated because it didn't go through the particular machinations to meet certain deadlines. But when you have a second trial, now all the deadlines reset. So that's a lot of reason why you'll see something in the second go around where you're including stuff that couldn't happen in the first go around. But when you talk about evidence, look, every rape, every assault is not going to happen on camera. And a lot of stuff is going to come down to testimony. And we know, Brother Walk knows that, these women will make up stuff, but these women are actually telling the truth sometimes too. So we don't want to just gloss over the fact that we talk about no evidence. I mean, I would push back on the Bill Cosby thing. I would argue that there's a ton of evidence, a ton of predatory behavior, there's a ton of testimony. He should have never been convicted, and he got that got overturned because, again, he made that deal and they went against that deal. So I always was of the understanding that wasn't going to hold up, but I'm not going to sit here and say that he wasn't doing it. It reminds me of a joke was saying about, you can feel what you feel about Michael Jackson, but would you let him babysit your children?
Yeah, I won't let any man babysit my children or women that I don't know and hasn't vetted properly myself. Not, and certainly not just based on celebrity status. But again, as men, do we want to live in the world to where we could have an allegation made against us with literally no proof, and we've seen the how the system has played the game so far, is that just a mere allegation, you're done right then and there. You look at Michael Irvin being charged, by some silly woman, and then instantly he lost Super Bowl coverage and was out of a job for over a year till finally, some facts, was able to come out, and then he was able to show and prove that, look, I'm not guilty, you know what I mean? And even though contrary, to the woman saying otherwise, you see what I'm saying? But oftentimes, like to me in this situation, I hate the term conspiracy theorists and theories and whatnot, because the fact that you and I here as black men in America, we're in a conspiracy. You know what I'm saying? So we know conspiracies do exist, but this has definitely been many episodes. We're going to talk about more later on here on this show. Many instances of, these feminists and even the LGBTQ, movement targeting men, and oftentimes, like I say, when there's very little facts or evidence, it's taking 2 trials, and again, I gotta jump on the evidence. You know what I mean? It can't be just saying, especially when it's years and years later that have gone by, off the strength of the woman saying something and not being able to prove it, that we're gonna go and be convicted men and send them to jail. I mean, that's a society that basically we would have, as men, have to bow down to women and pray that they don't never ever charge us with anything, because instantly our careers are done, and it's gonna take a lot of money and time.
I hear what you're saying, brother. And before I pass this off the walk, I'm gonna say that that's true. We can't have this knee-jerk reaction where people just get crucified without the facts playing out. I haven't studied the particular the particulars of this particular case, but I'd be inclined to think that the fact that he got convicted, there might be some evidence. But again, I'd have to look at it. But go ahead. What you about to say, Walt?
But it was several different women who were witnesses who had similar accounts of the actions that was taken that didn't know each other. And now let me say this. I'm a person who I was accused of some BS or a grape. What do you say? Grape? Floyd, what do you say? Grape? I was accused of that. No sexual intercourse, no nothing, no kissing, no nothing happened. And I did get accused of that. And I went to jail for a few days. And it was like, so I know what you're saying, brother Charles X. It does happen. It does happen. Now, in this case, maybe because he's Caucasian, I'm really like, yeah, he's guilty. Because it happens to us. So, yeah, I'm being biased. I ain't going to front. I ain't going to even lie. Because they did it to Bill Cosby. They did it to Tupac. Tupac got oral sex on the dance floor from the chick and then went to the hotel and she didn't even accuse him of rape, but he went to jail. Like, so, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I am just being an asshole. And, you know what I'm saying? And I went to I'm being honest. So, he got 42 years and good luck. So, see, because when stuff happened to them, that's when it's like, see, the same pill you was trying to give us, it's like a Bible saying, you'll be ensnared in the trap you set. That's kind of what happened to this guy. Sorry. So that's where I'm coming from. And I'm just going to keep it real with you.
Yeah, it could be. And like I said, on this case right here, I really dug into the facts because, like you, I've been falsely accused, and had a hardship, for a brief period of time, before, facts, were able to come out and have myself exonerated. And so that event alone led me to start focusing on issues that impact all men negatively in this construct, and then start looking to provide resources to address these situations, in particular in the judicial system, criminal, civil, and family. And then that further pushed me into dealing with relationships and offering strategy and guidance to men on how we can avoid situations like this. And I thank God, and I miss that brother Kevin Samuels, because he was providing a lot of content and a lot of guidance to help men, navigate, these waters. And there's been other people who are out there that wrote books like The Rational Men and whatnot. But keep in mind that, these other accusers, what happens usually, the way the game plays is that when there's a so-called, allegation, the first thing the lawyers do is put out an ad saying, hey, is there anyone else, who's had this experience? You know what I'm saying? And oftentimes, like we saw in the case of our brother, the football player, you might have 20, 30 individuals pop out, trying to attach themselves to the case because they have the potential to get financial gain. Out of a situation, we can't act like there's not motive here. And when you're dealing with rich, prominent, influential, well-off men, again, they don't have to, not to say that they never do, but they don't have to, so-called grape, another, these women are coming to them. The women who are accusing him came to his bedroom, into his house at night, Hold
on a second, brother Charles.
Let me ask you this, brother Charles.
Yes, sir.
Brother Charles, let me ask you this. Like, we understand that you dug deep into the case, and he went to trial, he's convicted, he's going to jail. I mean, at what point do we say, okay, he got a fair trial, or how do you determine if it was a fair or unfair trial? Because, like, for me personally, I look at it, I know that the justice system is not perfect. It's all that's there now. If we want to make it better, we got to get in there and change laws to adjust it. But from what we have right now, he went to trial, and you said it was a second trial and all this stuff, and he's going to jail now.
And not only that,
it's hurtful. I know it's hurtful on both sides.
But not only that, when you talk about the fact that it went through a mistrial, that shows that even the first trial wasn't clean. There were some people on this side, there were some people on that side. So then you got through the second trial, and basically you got everybody on the side because that requires, as I understand, it's a unanimous thing when it comes to criminal type of stuff. So again, I hear what you're saying. There a lot of men are being targeted, and we particularly talk about black men on this show that are being targeted. But notwithstanding the fact, there are black men, there are men that are actually guilty of these things. So what you don't want to do is make the victim sort of like the prey, so to speak, or the predator. I mean, we understand that
they call it the chilling effect.
Yeah. So exactly. So we understand, like we were talking about earlier, there's a balance of things. We understand, and also I want to point out that, look, if you're a female and you know what you are interested in, you go into some place to hook up with some guy, you can still be raped. Just because you're willing to go into a situation under certain circumstances, if these circumstances evolve into something else, there's a certain big star, I don't want to bring his name up because I don't want to attach him to this situation, but it was a situation where he went there and they were both thinking sex, but it ended up being an anal type situation, and not all females are going to be into that. And I would argue that, hey, that's a big key. That's a big variation on what you might have bargained for going into the situation. Sure. So again, and also not to mention the fact that you remember that the movie Higher Learning. To me, that was a great example right there, where they both were agreeing and consenting to have sex, but then he decided he wouldn't put a condom on, and she was like, "Hold up, you need to put a condom on," and just because she went into it with consent, a situation occurred where now consent was not being given, and he still pressed on, and that's rape. I don't care what you agreed to and thought to, whatever.
Yeah. No argument about that. But like I said, the answer, Brother Floyd's question is how do we guarantee men are getting a fair trials of these situations? I think first of all, the culture needs to be reset. To where I know they're real sensitive to women. And when they come forth, but if you're coming forth, 10, 15 years later down the line, 20 years down the line, and there's no evidence and no proof, then, the courts they need to start making a point to where you can't just convict a man just based on a woman just saying something like we're supposed to believe all women, like the Me Too movement wants you to believe and adopt. We have to have evidence. We have to have more to it. Even if there's more than one woman that comes forth, when you're dealing with a high value man, then now there's a financial incentive, there. So we have to weigh all the circumstances before we go ahead and decide to alter someone's life. And if it can happen to a white boy, a wealthy white boy, and by all counts, from what I could tell, who's not even, he's not a Jew. He looked like he was a Gentile. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Irish, you know what I mean? Even though he does have some features and whatnot, but I could not find anything to say that he was so-called Jewish, you know, at all. You know what I mean? And like I said, when you start seeing the actual Scientology, who I'm not necessarily a fan of, despite, you know, my Nation of Islam connections, you know, they still send me literature through the mail when I've asked them to quit calling me and quit sending me literature for years, you know, and they keep sending it to me. I'm not a fan. You know what I'm saying? But what I do, when I start looking at this situation, I just smelled a rat the whole way through. You know what I mean? You know, in this particular situation, you know what I mean? But there, you know, I agree. There is a such thing as rape. There have been powerful men not taking advantage of other women, you know, but what we could do is we need to start having the culture, have women come forward, you know what I mean, when these events happen, so that investigators can get on it right then in there, start gathering evidence and facts and whatnot, you know what I mean? And then we can really get, you know, those offenders off the street, you know, as fast as possible.
This is a great tactic. We should absolutely be encouraging this type of thing. I understand that people do stuff because they're embarrassed. I mean, there's a bunch of reasons why women won't come forward when these things happen. And a lot of times in these situations, it's because of position of power. When you have like the Harvey Weinstein situation, again, I'm not going to say that, you know, you should be quiet just to protect your career, but I understand that people will do what they do to survive, to get past this terrible event. But we definitely need to encourage people to come forward now. You know, when you get assaulted and you don't say nothing, and then that allows this person to go assault someone else, you play a part in that. And, you know,
yes, sir.
We really should be of encouraging people to speak up now for the things that are happening now. So on that issue, I hear what you're saying. I also understand that, look, just because someone didn't speak about something that happened before that was terrible, it doesn't mean that it didn't happen, and it doesn't mean they're not still dealing with trauma from it. So there's a balance there. But I understand there's a statute of limitations. At some point, you know, you kind of have to move on. That's what that's for.
I was taken advantage of too by a young lady. I did not want it, but I went through it because as a man, didn't want to. Let's move on. Sex Talk will Walk every Thursday. Let's move on. I'm sorry. I can't resist.
What's up in the next?
That's the next Sex Talk will Walk.
Next up in the news is
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez with her Jesus statement. So she basically yes. I don't know if you want to read your little thing, or you want me to just go for it?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna read it. Let me read it.
Go ahead.
Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez faced blowback for her social media post that tried to liken Jesus to the Palestinian people and criticize Israel, but made no mention of Hamas or their hostages. In the story of Christ, Christ was born in modern-day Palestine under the threat of government engagement in a massacre of innocents. That's what she wrote. And he was part of a targeted population being indiscriminately killed to protect an unjust leader's power. That was basically the statement that she said.
And the story that she's making reference to is that was Herod the Great that was allegedly received word of a prophecy from the Magi that there was going to be a child that was born that was going to challenge his rule. So he sent out a decree that all the males, whatever, would be killed. So that when they talk about the massacre of innocents, that's a reference to a narrative in Matthew. So Jesus ended up in Egypt or whatnot to avoid this thing, and came back, and that was how he escaped it. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm not saying it is true. I'm just relaying the narrative. So that's where she's got that from. But yes, she's being very absolutely one-sided about not acknowledging what's going on here. You can make an argument about occupation and stuff like that. To me, it's hypocritical for people in America to be talking about occupation of some other land, considering what's going on here, considering what's happened here. But at some point, a nation becomes a nation, and if you attack them, expect to be attacked back. But I'm sure that Brother Charles X got some. Well, before you go into it, what you got to say about this, Brother Walt?
Well, I mean, she's just being a little over dramatic because they're not getting the attention that they expected, especially from Black people. We're not being vocal about this. We talk about this on the show, but a lot of people are just like, this is not our fight. So they're looking for some attention. Now, here's the thing. I am for the Palestinians. I feel like they're getting the end of the stick. They are getting slaughtered, massacred, even though they did attack first.
Hamas attack, not the Palestinians. But I hear what you're saying.
Who is Hamas, nigga?
Hamas is a government. Again, the people. Hey, so if
We
America
did
attacks
this.
somebody, if America attacks somebody, is that you attacking something? If the United States government attacks somebody, like that, I have nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you believe that, then okay,
Yes.
then
Stop, bro. Stop this. We had this debate already. Stop. Nigga,
But I mean,
it's
Walk,
okay.
you got to understand he is making a true point. They are two different things. Palestinians and Hamas is two different things.
What are the people that are the Hamasians? Like I said on the last debate, the Hamasians. Remember I said that?
It's
Hamas.
a political
That was a joke.
organization. It's a group. It's a group.
What
It's a group of
nationality
people.
are they?
It's a group of people who
I'm
are
asking the
Palestinians.
question.
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't did
I
the
mean, that
research.
sounds like
So-
you basically saying if black people did something, we all guilty because we black.
Y'all convoluting. Just stop this. We are grown-ups here. Stop playing. Y'all know what's going on. Y'all playing
the
into the BS.
Palestinians are innocents, but Hamas are
The
not.
Hamasians. Now, if we gonna play around, we're gonna play around for real.
That's not playing around. That's distinguishing. You understand what I'm saying, brother Floyd X?
Yeah, let's get our brother Charles' perspective. First, if you, brother Charles, if you could address that point, your opinion as far as Palestinians being Hamasians, if you can address that before you go into your statement.
Yes, sir. I think it's pretty easy to address. It's like if you see us collectively here as so-called black people in America, if you start looking at our political, and religious affiliations, we're very diverse. You know what I mean? Some of us, many of us are Christians. Many of us are not, maybe atheists, others are in the Nation of Islam. You know what I mean? Others are in some other form of Islam. So there inside Palestine, you have a group of people who all collectively are receiving the same hell from the power being the Israeli government, and there are some among them who are more radical than others, you know what I mean? And the one who that is in this moment is who we would call Hamas, and without getting too far into how Hamas came into power and whatnot, and even Israel's involvement themselves and creating and forming Hamas. The fact is that, the so-called attack that took place would never have taken place had not the Palestinian people been dealing with, occupation and dealing with the injustices that they have been dealing with for many, many, many years now. And then the other thing that the Western media is not mentioning at all is that, regardless of the loss of life, now I'm not talking about the propaganda, talking about Hamas was killing babies and, and some of these other ridiculous reports that have come out, but the actual military assault on Israel was brilliant. You're hearing some from the top commanders, and critics of the U.S. government, and those who have formerly been part of the military, talking about, like, for example, Scott Ritter talking about, how, a wonderful, if you will, in terms of execution, Hamas attack was on Israel, because when they took hostages, they wasn't just taking, so-called civilians. They were targeting generals and top, military personnel and their whole families. You see what I'm saying? And so
let me say the statement. Let me say the statement from Mr. Tony Boyd. He said,
Yes,
if
sir.
kidnappers escape into a school, you don't blow up the school. And I think he's talking about the separating the kidnappers being Hamas and the school being the Palestine. That's what I think he's trying to say.
And he's absolutely correct about that. I'm glad that we didn't post that other comment, but yes, absolutely that. And you talk about
you
said
you're
it was
unblocked,
brilliant.
Tony boy. You're unblocked. That was a good comment.
You talk about that it was brilliant. To me, you got to be careful with that type of a comment, because that's sort of like saying it was effective. I won't deny that it was ineffective for, I guess, however many people that got on those planes and crashed those planes into. When you consider the damage that was done during 9/11 for how much it cost, you can say that it was very strategically effective. But I don't want to sound like I'm celebrating the fact that someone was clever if what they did was horrific.
Yeah,
And
but I would say that's not comparing apples to oranges, brother, because that's a whole entire, different issue and circumstances, than what we're dealing with here. Is, again, there inside Palestine, these individuals, have had their homes and land taken from them, living in an open air prison, and have been dealing with injustices, that, hearken and are likened to many of the same, situations that we as so-called black people dealt with here inside of America during the times of slavery and Jim Crow South. You see what I'm saying? So, like I said, when you're, a man, they want to be free, and they want to protect their families and whatnot. And many of those individuals have watched their families, and their people being murdered and killed and treated unjustly. Of course, you're going to have, people who strike out, and attack. You know what I mean?
Okay,
and want to change that circumstance. That's natural.
On the flip side of that, we do know how a lot of these people occupied the land before the Jews occupied Palestine in 1940, whatever. Before that started, we do understand that there was a violent takeover of that land before. I mean, I understand that we can talk about what happened in 1940, but when we talk about historically, a lot of this stuff is the byproduct of conquering, because we can talk about the original jihad, where a lot of these lands were taken over by, the Prophet Muhammad and the stuff that went down. We could talk about with Moses, when you're talking about the violent things that happened in Canaan. I mean, the reality is we understand that these turf slides happen, and I'm not justifying it one way or the other, but we also understand that once these people occupy something, once these people establish a government, when you do something, you understand what the repercussions are. If you feel what's happening to the Palestinians is terrible, you got to understand, Hamas, that guess what? This is an absolute reaction to the thing that happened in October. So, if you feel like it's brilliant and it's good, it happened because of that. What's going on now is a reaction to that thing. So if you feel
you're absolutely right. You're right. And they plan for that. They plan for that. That's why they're dug in, like they are, and they're receiving, assistance from other people inside the world. This seems to be, the crux, to where they are seriously, serious about their freedom, and their justice and their equality. But again, this group, made that decision based on as a group, but it wasn't a referendum or a vote that was taken by all of, the Palestinians, that went and said, okay, hey, this is what we want to do. That's what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Is this for what Israel does is what's called collective punishment. You know what I mean? To where they're saying, hey, okay, just because you did. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Let me give Walker an opportunity to speak on it.
He said, you said collective punishment, Charles X. That's what's going on. That is what's going on with Hamas and Palestinians, whatever. They're just like, we're going to destroy them finally. And in America, in different countries, have no say-so, and they don't care. These people are just being indiscriminately slaughtered, bro. Don't think like when they bomb a school or bomb a hospital, or that is going to be like we got Hamas. No. Right. These are innocent people.
They even killing Israeli hostages. Let's not mention that, which is part of their policy. They don't believe in hostages, so they're willing to kill their own.
You're not going to get who the enemy is, and they know it. They know it. That's what the problem is. That's where I feel is effed up. It's not cool. It's like if I live in a certain gangbanging neighborhood, and you come through and shoot me, and I'm not from that gang, that's wrong. That's what's going on. That's what I feel is going on. So I do agree with Palestine. They are really fighting because they've been getting the end of the stick for the last like 20, 30 years, dude. Because guess what? Israel is backed by the United States and a lot of other countries.
Not only back, brother, you said it right. Not only are they back, but they cannot exist without the United States. That's what makes it to where they say the American politicians in this country has our blood on our hands, because of that fact. In Israel, they have a policy, they call it the Hannibal Directive. And then what it literally means is better a dead soldier than an abducted soldier. And this is from the Israeli Defense Force Protocol. So again, they've been dropping those bombs, not worried about even their own hostages. At the end of the day, because now, it's kind of like some of the theories that we've heard come out from the military is that we don't negotiate with terrorists at the end of the day. And so we're seeing a lot of that policy, in effect right now there inside of Gaza, and there inside Palestine.
But they are negotiating with terrorists because they are negotiating ceasefires. Ceasefires
they have to. They're taking losses. They're taking losses. The thing is that they planned this attack, and planning this attack, the Israeli they have not even completely even communicated to the world the amount of losses that they're taking in this offensive. And right now, these other countries that are now aligned, their goal is now to shut off supplies coming into Israel, to where now the United States said, and I believe they deployed a warship out there, a carrier. But then because of the way the battlefield has changed today, these other nations who don't have nowhere near the same budget for their military as the United States does, but they're able to use a low-tech technology, very inexpensive, that has tremendous impacts, inside of war and battlefield today, which are called drones. The drones that change the whole battlefield, and so they have these various, underwater drones that could take out a battleship, carrier, and these ships that are used to transport weapons, equipment, men, jets, and whatnot, with a few $100,000.
And
you
even
it take $1 billion warships out with $100,000.
And even to spy, because it's one thing to look at something from a satellite, but it's another thing. Like, look, my son found somebody left in a store, like a little thing. He probably stole it. I'm thinking about it now. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, he had it. It was flying around, and we flew it, and we was looking at stuff around the corner. Now they got more high-tech stuff that's why Palestine or Hamas, they are effective, and the same thing with the Ukrainians. Little stuff that are not even detected by military technology. Real talk. That's why we even talking about it's still going on. Now, if we didn't have the same technology as right now that they didn't have, that they had back in the day, we wouldn't even be talking about that, because we wouldn't even be knowing what's going on, because they are taking casualties. Both sides. So, you know what I'm saying? But it's a terrible situation. But I just feel that Israel is overdoing it because they got the backing of the United States.
And so does the world, brother. The world agrees with you as well.
If they had the backing of the United States, Iran would have been smashed. Iran would have been ran through Israel.
Again, let's not oversell it. I'll say that
oversell it.
Well, you talk about what Iran and stuff like that. Israel has, first of all, let's not act like Israel is not a superpower over there. I understand
they're not, brother. It's smoke and mirrors.
Thank you. Stop it.
It's not smoke and mirrors. Hey, do they have nuclear power?
Yes, they have a nuclear weapon, although they don't admit it on the record, but they do have a nuclear weapon. Again, but everyone knows
that by definition makes you a superpower. But still, again, what I'm saying is this. The bottom line is not everything that Israel is doing that the people of Israel are supporting. Just like the people are here are protesting, just the way we protest the stuff that our government does. Because most of the people are saying that, look, everybody agrees that there should be some type of ceasefire, and everybody agrees that they're absolutely going about this the wrong way. There's way too many.
Well, not everybody, but it's not everybody. It's about 60% of Americans agree that Israel is doing what they need to do, and about 50%.
I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe that 60% is supporting.
Really the only people who are real vocal on this this situation are people who I'm not even aligned with, which are liberals and Democrats. They're anti with this Israeli, massacre that's taking place, but more on the conservative side, and those on the right, they more support that. You know what I mean?
But
At the end of the day,
they don't have the. They don't actually. I don't know if they have the numbers. We all.
Oh yeah, the numbers are out. I can show the articles. The numbers are out. You know what I mean? And so there's no doubt about it. You know what I mean? You can see it too when you're monitoring various comments on various news reports or whatnot, seeing what many of the people are saying or whatnot. You know, so it's here in the West now, collectively around the world now, when you get outside of the imperial powers, being Europe, you know what I mean, Britain, Israel, America, France, Italy, when you get out those territories and start looking at the rest of the world, now you're talking about the masses are against what the Israelis are doing, there in Palestine. You know what I mean? It's true, but
not only that, the president Biden has always been talking about how this is not a proper way. Even though they were the ones to hold out in that United Nations situation, there's always been a lot of criticism about the method.
Yeah, but that's political, bro. He has to do that because a big percentage of his base and those who will vote for him, which he's not even leading the polls right now versus Trump, he can't lose those individuals, so he's towing a line, but he's still sending money and supporting what Israel is doing. You know what I mean? So they say actions speak louder than words. I gotta look at his actions.
Supporting an ally because you're ally and co-signing what they do are two different things. I got a lot of people I love and like, but they do stuff that cross the line. I'll be like, hey, that's crossing the line.
You're gonna call support though. You're not gonna just say it. You're gonna call support. Otherwise, you'll be also.
Well, again, they're not. You support with restrictions. You don't just support with a. There's a way that you support. If whatever. If I have a person that's my partner and I understand he's about to die, I'm gonna be like, look, I'm gonna help you out, but there's gonna be there's some things that have to be done. This is not a free pass to just go out and do whatever. So I'm just saying that there's a lot of strings attached to this type of thing. Go ahead.
No. I remember I used to be cutting up, acting a fool, and I had a superpower right next to me, Papa G, aka Mr. Floyd X. Yeah, so I had immunity and nobody would ever. I was a little short dude, so yeah, I want to end it on that. I just want to say because Floyd X, he know I'm telling the truth on that. Look, man, this is spirited. Look.
Thank y'all for watching. Black folks, white politics.
Jeez, look at the time.
Now we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program, the Focus Up Show. And he said, "Look at the time."
That was my superpower. Yep.
So we'll
I'll do anything I wanted to. I had a superpower, just like Israel.
Would you co-sign everything that he did? That's your brother. You looked out for him, but would you co-sign everything he did?
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Let's move on to our next topic.
If I pointed that
TD
finger,
Jakes, Mr. Nice Guy. Mr. Nice Guy, you gonna set that up for us, brother?
Well, TD Jakes is being accused of, we got the Puff Daddy, the Diddy outing of his particular parties and the wild stuff that's going out, the accusations, and TD Jakes got sucked into that, and there's been some accusations about him basically getting involved in these things and doing some homosexual stuff. And he had his PR team jump on it immediately. And he's when everybody's waiting for him would see what he had at the pulpit, he goes, "Look, I'm not even going to dignify. It's all lies. I'm not going to waste any of the Lord's time, addressing this." And
the Lord's time.
I'm saying that's what he said. I'm just talking about the bottom line is because it's a church. He's in church. He said that I'm not going to do this, wasting this time that's dedicated to preaching, to talking about this allegation. And to me, that's probably about as sound a strategy as anything. This sounds like a bunch of rumors. I don't know where we're gonna go with this. We talk about black powerful men that are doing powerful things. I can talk about a lot of these con artists, preachers, and stuff like that, but I don't know if I put TD Jakes in that discussion. So that's where I'm at.
Yes, sir. I mean, if I could just chime in just real briefly, is that I definitely see this as being yet another attack on manhood. I'm not, obviously I'm not, I wouldn't label myself a Christian, but there's definitely many, Christian lessons and philosophies that, I agree with and I've adopted in my own life, so I'm not against it in any way, but just again, the way that this came out via these rumors, and it seems to be a prelude to like they're about to charge him or indict him on something greater, like grooming, a young man who he later has some sort of relationship with, that would be, criminal. You know what I mean? It seems like it's just a prelude, so there's something going on. And like I said, in this day and age we live in, not only are black men heterosexual, let me stress, but black heterosexual men, which the LGBTQ movement calls cis men, I believe is what term they use. I could be wrong, you know what I mean? But in general, those who are, are more traditional, believe in the nuclear family, these type of men have been under attack, from both the feminist movement, the Me Too movement, as well as the LGBTQ plus movement in general. You see what I'm saying? And so, I'm not sure, if one way or another, you know what I mean? But again, it just seems to be following a pattern of, just allegations popping out, which I hate liars, because with a liar, the thing about a liar is as soon as they say something and open their mouth, then automatically you then cast a doubt on that invisible, and then now there's a cloud that's hovering above that person, whether they're completely innocent or if they're guilty. You know what I'm saying? If they're guilty, it should be a cloud and ultimately punishment, in the case of criminal activity. But just when a liar deceives and comes out and makes a charge, then automatically that person is tainted, which is why there needs to be some sort of way that men could fire back at those who make false allegations and charges and hold them accountable, which oftentimes we do not see in this society. You know what I mean? When these people are let off and let go and found to be innocent, very in rare occasions, do the person who came with the false charges, are they ever punished? You see what I'm saying?
Go ahead. Let walk. What you about to say?
It's never, or it's not the same vigor that was brought to the person who did not do nothing. Like, yo, bro, I'm listening to you, Mr. Charles. It's like, you sound like you've been through a lot, bro. And I was there too when I went through that crowd. I was really on one with chicks too. But yo, man, come on, bro. You need some healing, brother. You need some healing, brother.
Yeah, but he's still dead on. The fact of the matter is we do see this assault, we do this attack. I started to share one article that was talking about some of these accusations, and then I realized that this article is a LGBTQ hit piece.
Come on, brother.
On TD Jakes, and it was because it started basically talking about how Christianity has been assaulting and oppressing people that are gay and stuff like that. And it's like, look, if this religion is of this position, that's the position of they are. For you to sit there and position it as an assault on you, if this is the truth or this is what they believe, that's the truth or what they believe. You believe something different. It's a conflict. So when we talk about tolerance is one thing, but you don't get to all of a sudden now rewrite what's good and what's right. You should be protecting your liberties. Go ahead.
Nate, give me one TD Jakes moment where he was somewhere on the level of a Martin Luther King. Can anybody name that? He ain't there, brother. He just making money, brother.
Again, first of all, let me be
other than preaching the gospel, in general.
Yeah, let me be very clear about something.
Where did he? Wait, hold on, man. I'm not, bro. Chill out.
You asked the question. I was trying to answer your question. Go ahead.
We going back and forth. When did TD Jakes ever step forth on anything that's really affecting the black community? Police genocide, unemployment. Where is he at? On the pulpit?
I think you're making a perfect segue into our next topic, brother. I think we should jump into it since we promoted the Black Billionaires.
Billionaires? Okay.
Because you're basically asking questions. Yeah. Let's jump to the Black Billionaires. And I know you say he's not a Martin Luther King, but he is a very wealthy man who receives a lot of his money from Black folks across America. And let's transition over to Black billionaires. I believe that Black billionaires don't owe poor people anything. What's y'all take on that?
Whoa.
Well, you talk about owing. I don't think you owe anybody anything. I think that your people will benefit by something, and that justifies why you should do it. But you know, I mean, it's a function of, to me, all this comes back to God. If you don't believe in God, then it's kind of like, why should you do anything? You should basically do what you desire to do, what benefits you. That's what it is. But if you believe in
That's
God,
a big statement you just said.
well, hey, I'm just telling you this. If I didn't believe what I believed,
If you
I'd
don't
be
believe in
Dr.
God,
Phil.
why do anything?
No, I'm just
Why
saying
do
that
anything?
no. What I'm saying is that right and wrong is subjective if you don't believe in God. But if God exists, then right and wrong becomes objective. You can talk about what benefits people, but I'm just saying that the bottom line is, go ahead. If you feel you just disagree with that, speak on it.
Man, brother, I'm gonna agree with Mr. Tony Boy said, wow.
Wow.
I agree.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. If I can say so, I don't believe that
People are not
the belief in. I'm sorry, Brother Floyd. Go ahead.
Now he was
Did I cut
he
you off,
giving you
brother?
the floor.
yours,
I
I
didn't
didn't
give
mean
you
to
the
cut you
floor,
off.
Charles X. Go ahead, Charles X.
Yes, sir.
The floor is
I was about to
yours.
just, chime in on the fact to say that I don't believe that, belief in a higher power or God has anything to do with, morality or right and wrong. But although that if you do believe and belong to some sort of religious group, or have a religious identity, that group has a set of laws and rules and doctrine that governs you. You see what I'm saying? So obviously there's something there, but in terms of, I would agree with you in a lot of ways, Brother Floyd, when you say that these so-called black billionaires don't owe, the people anything unless that they made that money and they stacked that wealth on their backs, and they supported, those individuals, and those individuals that people, lifted them up to that wealth. Then there's a level of duty that you have in that circumstance. But when you start looking at that list, that you showed, is a majority of our billionaires in terms of so-called black people. The majority of them are in Hollywood, sports, and entertainment. And that's where most of them made their money. Is only one in finance and a couple brothers that was involved in tech. In general, which is very interesting, because when you look at the rest, of the non-black billionaires, is made up quite differently. Where you're looking at the 500 billionaires, the majority of them made their money. It looks like about 14% made their money in tech, 13% in the industrial sector, and 11% came from finance, but only 3% came from the entertainment field in general. You see what I'm saying? So that's
let me address this real. Let me address this real quick. The black billionaires, the reason we got 10 over 259 is because out of 259 billionaires in America, only 10 of them are black. And that number varies, depends on who you add to the list, who you take off the list. We know Kanye West was a billionaire according to Forbes last year. Now they saying he's not. So It depends on who you add and take off the list. So, but what we're looking at is these 10 black billionaires, what can they do collectively to improve the condition of blacks in America? What can they possibly do with their billions of dollars that would be beneficial to the majority?
They can employ black people. They can pour money into schools. They can, determine curriculum, because that's one of the ways that white people exert power over black people by, rich white people writing these school books and determining which school books get taught. When you talk about the Missouri School Board, that's basically decided, you know what, we're so afraid of critical race theory that we're just going to remove black history altogether. So that's the thing about it. You want to build your own schools. You want to build your own banks. You want to build your own grocery stores. You basically want to keep the money in the community. So you spend on black people, you make money with black people, and you lift up black people. So that would be one tactic of doing that.
I totally disagree with what you just said, nice guy, because it's deeper than that. It's like this. All four of us, we're all on four different paths and stuff. But guess what? We all grew up with a white school teacher our whole life. Could you imagine being a white Jewish kid or just a white kid, and all your life you had nothing but black teachers? So if what you talk about, like do this and do that, like we do need our own, and it has to be that. for the entire growth of the child. Period.
So when you say we need our own, is that along the lines of what Mr. Nice Guy just
I know.
said?
I'm confused. Did he not make my argument?
Who? Okay. Well. Okay. Your kids. Anybody kids grew up just with black teachers? Any of us? Anybody?
No. Well, we talked about what they should do. If you have a black school, if you create a black school and employ black teachers and a black curriculum, we're talking about.
Wait, hold on. Don't say it like that's what you said before, bro.
Is that what I said? Floyd X, yes or no? Thank you. Charles, brother Charles X. Is that what I said?
That was my understanding. You were saying do for self is what I heard.
Yeah, and I mean,
you hear what you hear, but I say what I say.
Building black schools is beneficial for black people and black children, particularly, in my opinion. If you build a black school, like LeBron was talking earlier before the show, LeBron James built a black school. For me, it's not a big deal that it's not owned by LeBron James. It's the fact that he put his name behind it. He has an expectation, and I know you say that 8th graders all failed or something like that, but his desire is to establish something, and he's working to build it. And we can say it's not going to be perfect from the jump. But in the end, from what I understand, in the end, everybody that graduates from that school, he's paying for them to go to college. That's a beautiful thing. You know how great, how beneficial I would have benefited if I was able to pay for all 3 of my children to go to college and pay for other people's children to go to college. How much of an assistance and a help that would be if somebody would have jumped in and paid that on my family's behalf because we didn't have the money at the time.
They got to the 8th grade already.
Like,
all your kids got to the 8th grade.
Huh?
They all got to the 8th grade.
Say what?
8th grade.
Yeah, because I homeschooled my wife. My wife homeschooled my children to the 8th grade.
Missed the joke.
But that's a different story.
So you did have a black teacher.
Thank you. Listen,
yeah, basically.
What I'm saying is,
but I'm
okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Walt. Go ahead.
It's goes against a white teacher to let your black child excel because it's stopping their white child. It's competition. It's direct competition.
I would say, just if I can, that I believe that, yes, we definitely, find racism, in different places, including the school system. But, I believe that there are many teachers, regardless of race, color, or creed, their main desire is to, teach and train and uplift their student. You know what I mean? That now, are there those that, have ulterior motives? True. But ultimately, like with Floyd, I just removed that out the equation myself, and my wife and I, we decided from day one just to homeschool our children, and teach them directly. That way we don't have to even worry about it.
That's it.
You see what I'm saying? And I'm not mad at that decision. You know what I mean? And I think that maybe not everyone is motivated to do that. But ultimately,
let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. So, do your kids got college degrees?
Mine? No, I have one that is a fireman, paramedic. One that is in school right now, becoming dealing with dealing with education of early development for children. And then my other son, he runs a restaurant, general manager at a restaurant. So he didn't do college at all. You know what I mean? But he's doing well.
But that was homeschooled.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Floyd X? No, let me stop that. Because y'all didn't get the joke. Yes. But look, it's not a joke. But I get where you're coming from, because that's what it's about. The mother is homeschooling and teaching their child. And our
father, because I saw Brother Floyd teaching me. He was teaching hard too. Yeah. He was our Spanish teacher, Brother Floyd. You know what I mean? Among other subjects. You know what I mean? So you just have to be motivated, and care and love your offspring, and then your community, and then you're gonna get the right results.
Let's speak on the Mr. El Poo's statement. He said LeBron doing more than Dr. Excuse More Where's that school at online? I think that's a disrespect to Dr. Umar. Shout out to Dr. Umar. But
yeah, I
it's a
think his school
disrespect
is
to
up and running. I mean, I know that he's submitting, trying to get people to subscribe to it, because that's the thing about it. You can build a school, but you also got to get people that is going to pay for it as a private school that's gonna elect to send their kids there. So, to my understanding, that's the hang up. It's not that his school isn't built. It's not that he doesn't have all that stuff together. It's just, that's my understanding.
So let me try to wrap this up or round it up.
Less King.
Hold on, Brother Charles X, can you give a statement, a brief statement on what can Black billionaires do to help the Black community?
I would say the biggest thing that they could do, if that is what's in their heart or mind, is to organize other wealthy individuals to create a new paradigm, for the people, and opportunities and mentorship, and then various resources that they have access to.
Right. And to say like they don't owe nothing, Floyd, that was kind of weird, dude. What do you mean?
Hold on. All right. We could get back. We could get back to that. So, Mr. Walk, I want to ask you the same question. What can Black billionaires do to improve the condition of Black people in America?
A Black grocery store, a Black hospital for our children and health care, and for our put that money into that instead of the bling bling. That ain't doing nothing. This ain't doing nothing. This ain't doing nothing. $50,000 spent one night
Mr.
at
Nice
a strip
Guy.
club. I didn't do it, but I mean that's what one of Quavo did. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot to do with this money. Not saying that Quavo is a billionaire.
Mr. Nice Guy.
It's a lot of money getting flushed down the toilet.
Okay, so
Mr. Nice Guy, same question.
Yeah, again, I'll repeat what I said, and it seems like he's kind of agreeing with what I'm saying. If you're concerned about, first of all, you can't save all Black people. So the function is you got to try to figure out, you got to appeal to the Black people that actually gonna make this thing work. But again, you're talking about Black banks. You're talking about Black schools. You're talking about Black grocery stores. You talk about Black hospitals. You talk about Black technology. You're talking about Black after school programs that foster education and all basically blackity black. So Black owned community where all the money is staying in the community, building up that community and developing people that are of like mind and sensible and reasonable and giving a damn about each other. That's your best way to take some type of benefit about this. If they can do that, and if the people will make it work, because the reality is everybody's got to buy into it.
Charles, does that make sense to you? Charles. I mean,
I understand what the brother is saying. You know what I mean? For sure. I understand. Like I said, it's I'm not in that mindset. Yeah, I'm just personally, I'm not in that mindset to where we have to focus just strictly on us building our own so-called financial base, if you will. You know what I mean? We stay in a very diverse community. If you look among our own community, man, we have many different nationalities, many different ethnicities and whatnot, so my focus is always going to be on the person, the individual, and then their moral discipline, you know what I mean? And then them understanding the importance of just education in general. It doesn't mean you have to go to college. You know what I mean? But maybe it's a trade. You're gonna go down that avenue or whatnot. But just making, resources available. And
a Black billionaire. This was the question that Floyd asked. What can a Black billionaire do for the community to prosper? Right? Ain't that what you asked, Floyd X? Something along those lines.
I think everybody answered it. They gave the best answer, and I understand all the answers that made sense to me. And hopefully hopefully a billionaire is watching this show and be like, "Oh, that's what I can do."
And the reason why it's important that when you talk about a Black people owning this type of stuff is just the control issue. I agree that we're in a diverse community, so the best thing we can do is succeed individually and then succeed collectively to work together and do what we do. We live in a world with other people, and we need to function with other people. That's why I sent my daughter to public school, because what I wanted her to learn in public school was social interaction with real people. I was always going to make sure you get the education that you need. You was always going to get that information. But to me, the school situation was a function that you got to deal with these knuckleheads. I want to get you on the ground floor with these people so you understand how to react with them. So that's why I did what I did. But I absolutely support what you guys did, and that's a good way to control.
You got to be careful with that one. But see, you got to be careful with that one, because I know that was like the number one criticism that I got. Oh, they're not going to be how to socialize. My children is the most social mother that I met. So I mean, that's in my opinion, and respectfully, that's a false narrative that's put out there. Like, if you homeschool them, they're not going to know how to socially get around.
It's not that they don't know how to. It's just sort of like fighting. I mean, in order to increase your ability to fight, you got to fight more. So that's all it is. It's not. I wasn't knocking your thing. I'm just saying that was the reason why it wasn't an issue about homeschooling. It was really an issue about private school versus public school. And I felt like, I want you to go to public school to deal with the reality of the people that you likely run into. But I'm sorry, it looked like Walker was trying to say something. Go ahead, say what you got to say, brother.
What I want to say, I don't think I got an answer. If you had, let's say you had $4 billion, what would you do for the Black community? Please don't start explaining shit. And I don't think I got an answer from you or you. Yeah, I'm pointing at
How do you answer something without explaining it?
Explain what?
You said don't. You asked a question and then you said don't explain something.
If you had $4 billion, what would you do for the Black community? For your community, the Black community, what would you do?
I love to answer that, brother. I love to answer that. I would create a fund, and then I will have, managers from among us, who have a successful track record, and those who will be willing to take a blood oath, meaning that, if they were found being a derelict or compromise the people's trust, that they will be willing to give their life, put them in charge of this fund, and then encourage the masses of our people to every single month to donate a small amount, $1, let's say, and right now we have well over 10 million working Black people inside of America. If everyone did $1 every single month, there's 10 million extra dollars every month that's being brought to that fund. And then that fund could start doing things like, for example, I remember the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, he was saying that if we had a fund such as this, that we literally could go ahead and take control of all the Black, colleges and universities, and fund them so they're not relying on any U.S. government funding at all, pay the teacher salaries, pay everything, and then send all our children who want to go that route to these colleges for free and come out of that college with a high level education, and a high level degree in mathematics, science, and whatnot. And then have, again, tuition free to where when they're done, they don't owe any money. And their only responsibility is to go back and serve their community and serve the people, the masses of the people, what I mean? And
why would they serve the community or the people? They don't own nothing, right?
Well, no, they would in that example, because this fund would have been something that was created essentially by us, that we all collectively put resources towards, and then again send our children
they would be employed by the people
free of charge, to where they would not owe a dime, taking advantage of all this brilliance that we have among our people. And then now, as they enter the workforce, again, tuition free, not owing a dollar, they do have a debt to the masses of their people who contributed to this fund. They do owe a debt, at that point.
Now, Walk, did I answer your question? Did he answer your question? Hold on. Wait, Walk. Did he answer your question? Is that a yes or a no?
My pterodactyl. No. Y'all, nobody said that. What would you do if you, let's say you got $8 billion?
We can't move on. If what he said did not answer your question, that means my answer not gonna answer it either.
But you know what? I'd like to hear your non-answer just the same.
Well, my answer is if I had $4 billion, I would create a fund, like Brother Charles said, to establish schools, hospitals, and I would go around and find the smartest and the brightest of us to help them, to pay them top dollar. I would, if we had a football team, I'll pay Deion Sanders top dollar to work for my school without all the impedances on his ability, and that's what I would do. It's simple. That's what you do. You establish this shit. You ain't gonna solve it by throwing the $4 billion, because we know schools cost hundreds of millions of dollars to run every year, and all the teachers, the staff, and it's a continual process. You got to walk these children from elementary to the 12th grade to get them out and then send them off to hopefully a black college or something of that nature. It's not an easy process. You're not gonna solve it with a $4 billion dowry.
We ain't talking about your kids, bro. My nieces and nephews.
I'm talking about all children. I'm talking about all children.
We talking about
Dr. Dre, jaywalk.
Right.
Dr. Dre gave $20 million to USC. How does that benefit black students?
That benefits a whole lot of white kids.
How does it benefit black people? Does that any benefit to black people?
That was dumb as fuck.
Okay.
Dr. Dre.
$20 billion. If he could have took $20 billion and started something, we would be going in the right direction as far as black people go.
Especially with a call to action for other of our people to also participate, because we can't be just a sugar daddy, you know what I mean, to the community, and then people just expecting us to just, keep you forking over dollars. There has to be a participatory, action as well. That's why I said it's not a burden for us as a people to give $1 a month to a fund. That's already someone that took, like, if I have $4 billion, I take 50 to 100 million, put it inside that fund as the example and say, look, this is what I contribute. Now, what I'm asking the rest of the masses of us to do, is put $1 a month. You tell him, if you can't do nothing with 50 to 100 million, get the fuck out of my face. Hey,
how you can't do nothing with 50 to 100 million?
That's called putting your money where your mouth is right there.
Come on.
You see what I'm saying?
Come on. Dr. Umar, he's at the point, I think he got up to 7 million so far for the school he haven't opened yet. If you can't do shit, get the fuck out of my face, man. I'm not going to sit there and throw a $4 billion at you and then hope nothing. It's going to be a plan laid out.
The plan laid out. And we're recruiting our friends to also be a part of that effort, to be not only financial contributors, but mentors, providing guidance. There's a brother in there that the number one guy is in finance. You know what I mean? So to be able to have a curriculum in place to teach the masses of our people how to generate finance and then to be set.
Now you
ready? All right, Mr. Nice Guy, you've been sitting there quietly. I know you tired of the bullshit. Come on, man.
My response
we'll
is,
get this shit resolved.
You give me $4 billion, my plan to making the black people better and stuff like that. Guess what? I'm spending all $4 billion on me. I'm not, I don't give a damn about, I care about black people, but I need to know what black people that whatever. So what I'm going to do is build up my family. I'm going to build up their stuff. And that's how that's going to impact black people. It's not going to be a quick fix, but the bottom line is I need to spend my money on people that I understand agree with my agenda and all this whatnot. Because you talk about the fun thing. I think that's a great idea. A lot of stuff that you talk about, I think that's great. The problem is that someone's got to be making a decision. And if Charles X is making all the decisions, then that's going to be good. If Mr. Floyd X is making all the decisions, that's good. But if you guys are all voting and stuff like that, it's going to be hard to figure out what to do with this money. So it's one of those type of situations. I would love to create an after-school program in a black community and really work on trades, to really work on science, academic, that type of stuff like that. So that way I can figure out who's actually, cropping, who's going to go in that position. But I'd be like a scalpel with this type of situation. I wouldn't generally offer up this money because, again, I'm Team Thanos. I don't think that a lot of black people are really about the solution. And I'm not trying to just help whatever. I need a small team of people, and we're going to impact the world with that small team of people.
Yeah, but I would say that I'm sorry.
Hold on. My name said after school program. You said that.
Yeah, where you
That's
teach
white school
Ain't nothing wrong with
teachers.
where you have activities where you staying away from gang stuff. Where
And
because
what?
the bottom line is where you
Hey,
getting
ain't nothing
food,
wrong with
where
after
you getting
school
all of this stuff.
programs, bro.
Wait,
What'd you say?
stop.
I said, ain't nothing wrong with after school programs. I'm trying to see
Asians
what
are
they
killing it. If you go into
issue
Miracle
is with
Mile,
after school programs.
Asians are killing it with that stuff. That's why they're so dominant in math because
Go
they
ahead,
got
Walt.
all these.
What's your problem?
Uh,
What's your problem with after school programs?
Floyd, did you go to after school programs?
But you didn't go to mine.
I wish I would have. I would have had something to do instead of just
You would have
be
had
a
some.
queen.
If you
Sports
wanted
was
to
my
mind,
outlet when it came to after school programs.
See,
Yeah.
What'd you
I
say,
had
Charles
nothing
X?
to do.
I'm saying sports, playing some sports. That was basically my some of my
And I'm talking about
programs.
academics. I'm
Who
talking about
was
when you're
wearing
learning
them?
computer science. You're learning
Wait,
advanced
hold on.
That's what I'm
rocket
saying.
science. All of this stuff.
That's all good. Everything you're saying is
Economics.
all
Where
good.
you're learning economics, where you're learning finances, where you're doing things that are going to put you in a position.
Yeah, the Jewish community does that.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And these things dominate. They dominate with that stuff.
Stop. With Jewish kids. And that's who they teach it to. Here's the thing. I'm going to be honest with you, guys. I just watched the Colin Kaepernick motherfucker Netflix special. That MFer is a MF rider, dude. He put his whole career on the line because of what he went through, and he's seen it. All the S he was talking about in school with people like, what are you doing? Because I go through that every day. Walking through a goddamn parking lot, click that alarm. Beep, beep, beep. He's going through it, dude. He went through it. He lived it. Now, what this has to do with this conversation, I don't know. But you mother effers are not on the same page. So, F all that.
All right. Well,
And
listen.
I gotta go.
Hey, thank y'all for watching the show. Real quick, I want to say to the people in the comments, some of y'all put comments out there that's disrespectful to our legends and people that we revere. You got to be mindful.
AI. I think that's AI bots.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there's some real dumb
Be
stuff,
mindful what you put.
Comments.
Yeah, we're not gonna post everything up here. If it looks stupid to us, we're not gonna post it. So be mindful. Don't put nothing stupid up there and think we just gonna put it on the screen.
But give us some views, AI.
Say silly. Don't say
yeah. Yeah. But let's get El Pooh comment up here since he was unable to be on the show.
I thought we blocked him.
Kids need things to do besides run the streets. Sometimes parents are working and would appreciate after school program. I'm telling you, I think after school programs would have been great if I would have been a part of it. I wasn't a part of me. I know I was in summer programs.
That's why I pour my money into. Absolutely.
Yeah, well
I was part of
organized
summer school programs, and I'm glad that they was open.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
He trying to clean up. He said, "No disrespect to Dr. Umar. You can't call him Dr. Excuse-Mar and then say no disrespect."
Hey, you just said that you gave him this money, he still needs more money. So that's basically co-signing the same position. But we got Spin That Back coming up at 10:30, and we can't run the show too long. So
yep. So what's you got any more you want to say, Mr. Nice Guy?
Yeah, well, hey,